We got Gerald Meerschaert back here on the program. One of the big winners last weekend at UFC San Diego, getting it done. A submission. Typically, that's how he does it over Bruno Silva. Gerald, how are you, man?
I'm great, James. How you doing?
Doing awesome. I did not pick up a really awesome win on the weekend there. It was a dominant win. Outside of maybe like a first round finish, could that fight have gone any better, man? You controlled that entire fight.
Yeah, no, it was pretty much the exact way I had to fight that fight to look as good as I did. If I wanted to give some critiques, it's like, I could have been a little bit busier, but it's kind of like, I felt like I was still pretty busy, because the more you open up against a guy that wants to counter strike and slug like that, the more danger there is. So, but I could have been maybe a little bit busier if I wanted to get real nitpicky. And there were a couple times with some of the pulling and evading, I got a little bit out of position and I had to bail out. But other than that, that was about as good as it gets.
Was that your best performance in the cage, in your opinion? Because it seemed like everything was firing on all cylinders. Your stand-up looked good. You obviously, you nearly knocked him out. And I know you even said in the post-fight, you're like, no, I'm going to go for I got to submit this guy, right? It makes more sense. So just looking back, was that your most memorable win?
It's definitely the best I've looked in a long, long time. It's got to be up there, right? I think my very first UFC fight, I showed really well-rounded skills and I kind of dominated everywhere, and this fight was similar to that. The only difference is the other one I finished quicker. But, I mean, this guy was a really tough, top-quality opponent. He just came off a decision to the title challenger that we got going on in, just a few, I don't know, it was a couple weeks or months or whatever it is. And, I did something even he couldn't do. I saw a couple of reaction videos where guys were losing their mind because a multiple weight glory kickboxing champion couldn't drop that guy, but I could.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you about that. I know you can't always look at MMA math, but you got to feel good that, just with the fact that this is a guy that did go the distance with Pereira, and a guy like Sean Strickland didn't even go around with Pereira. So the fact, if you kind of want to do the 6 degrees of whatever Kevin Bacon, as they call it, I guess, I mean, does that probably makes the win look even better, right?
Yeah. And I just want to make it very, very clear. I'm not saying that my striking is as good as Alex Pereira's or there's any real comparison there. It's just something cool to say out loud. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Oh, yeah.
So in case anyone thinks that I'm letting it get to my head, I fully understand, each fight is different. It's always going to be, the version of the guy you get in the cage for one. And then two, it's I just happen to be the guy that tends to show up in most of these situations. And I do what people say I'm not supposed to. So it is what it is.
Well, I think people are upset because you busted a bunch of their parlays. You were like a plus 300 underdog going into the fight, which I don't know. I didn't really understand it too much as far as the odds being off that far. How many fans have reached out and said they want a ton of money on your fight? Because like I said, I'm sure you by submission was good. You just straight up was good because like I said, you were about plus 300.
Yeah, no, I've had a few people reach out and say that, and I even had a buddy of mine, Tuco, was trying to tell everybody to quiet down. He's like, "This is my moneymaker. Don't ruin the surprise. Let the bookies keep making these odds so we can keep getting this sub money."
Yeah, no, you're definitely known for it. And you mentioned Tuco there. I know he's at Kill Cliff, which is where you did this camp. How much of a difference was that going into this fight? Just having that camp over there.
I mean, it's hard to say it didn't make a difference, right? Like I said in many interviews and all that stuff, I would not be the fighter I am today had I not spent my time at Rufus Sport or all these other places that I've been going to. Another big shout out too to Mike Valley and Valley Flow Striking, getting to train him and Bilal and Juan Bahamondes and all those guys down there. When I'm not in camp, that's where I'm training, so that also helps a lot keep me in shape. Oh, and Charlie Gregg, he's another guy that had a big win that I get to train with a lot. But, going to Sanford, having the, professional team and that atmosphere and just a lot of guys my size and bigger that I can go with. It just gets you ready in a different type of way, right? There's only you. I always was good at using the people I had around me, but at a certain point, there's only so much you can do when you don't have someone, maybe a little bit bigger than you to push you in those different ways. And I think that really helped out a lot, especially against a guy who's known to be a big dude and a slugger in Bruno Silva.
Yeah, and just to clarify as well, the main reason leaving Rufus Sport was just the bodies, right? There's more bigger guys over there. You just mentioned some of the middleweights that are there. They're all UFC mainstays. So for you, it's just a better fit, and it's not like a bad blood thing or anything in case people are wondering that. So, yeah.
I'll always and forever have a home at Rufus Sport, and I'm 100% cool with all those guys. But yeah, it was just, just a timing thing. They're rebuilding right now. bunch of young up and coming guys out there, and I'm cool with all of them, and I wish them nothing but the best.
Anything about Bruno surprised you in the fight that maybe you weren't expecting?
No, I mean, he was pretty good at everything. He had that first round, he landed a good body kick on me. I'm surprised he didn't try to go back to that, but I did do a pretty good job moving and shucking and jiving. The first takedown I timed really well and got him down. And after that, he did, maybe at the expense of landing as many strikes as he otherwise could have, he stayed, decently far away, which allowed me to get such good movement and like be able to move and slip a lot of those punches. Because if he charges, a lot of guys he charges in on, you can't really do that same defense, right? Because you get caught off balance and then you start getting clipped. But because he wasn't rushing in, because I think he feared the threat of the takedown, that kind of allowed me to open up more. But after that, like, his takedown defense was solid. I never, after that first round, I think I had maybe one other earnest takedown attempt, but every time I touched his legs is like, a little bit farther away than I thought he would be. And then he also did a really good job. Like, you can just feel a guy when they have that first super intense sprawl where it's like, okay, I could probably get this takedown if I really want to chain wrestle, but why am I going to waste energy when I know he's working twice as hard as I am, and I can just cut him and come back to the feet and keep hitting him.
Yeah, no, well said. How did you celebrate after the win?
Just kind of hung out with the team. I got to see Brian Butler and our other two sucker punch athletes afterwards. We were all three of us underdogs, me, Angela Hill, and Nate, and we all came up with big wins. So we just kind of hung out, ate pizza and chicken wings, and took some pictures afterwards.
What was it like hanging out with Nate the Train? I've known Nate forever, like back to when, even before he fought in M1. Like, he's a pretty unique character.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk much. We were kind of waiting on him because he had to get checked out a little bit real quick. But he seems like a real nice guy. You know what I mean? And his fight was definitely one of the more entertaining fights I've seen in my life. So more power.
If the UFC comes to you and says, "Hey, Gerald, when do you want to fight next?" When would the ideal time be? When are you looking to get back in there?
December would be good, and I wouldn't even mind waiting till next year, to be honest. Like, if I got to have my pick. I was away from my family for a good long while. So, it's not that I couldn't jump right back into a training camp, but, I'd like to hang out with my wife and my kid for a little bit. So,
yes,
that being
for
said,
sure.
You only fight for a short amount of time. So, if they give me that call and I'm healthy, then we're good to go.
And you got 2 fights left in your contract, right?
1 fight left.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this was a big one then, because you got a big win here as an underdog. So a little bit of negotiating power. You're going to give Brian Butler a call and say, "Hey, look, we got to get to the table here and figure something out."
Yeah, hopefully, I'll come away from this one with a nice little pay bump, and then we can, figure out after. So, which would make me think, right, if I'm getting paid a little bit more, they're probably not going to let me get away with fighting somebody unless they got a number next to their name. So, we'll cross our fingers and see what happens with that.
Where did this Andre Petroski thing come from? Because when I heard you say it in the post fight, I was like, "What? Like, did he call you out? Like, what happened?"
Yeah,
there?
yeah. He called me out a while ago, and I was like, sure. And then he didn't know this at the time, right? But I had already agreed to fight Bruno Silva, so like he immediately slid because I tweeted about it. He immediately slid in my DMs and was like trying to figure it out. And I told him straight up, I was like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm not saying I won't fight you, but I do have a guy lined up already that I signed a contract for." So I was like, if you don't end up fighting, or if you want to fight after that's done, then I'm more than willing to. And, we'll see what happens. So, we'll see what the UFC says. He must really want to fight me, because he slid into my DMs again, like immediately after this fight. So he must have been watching. Yeah. But, yeah, we'll see what the UFC says. They might want me to fight somebody ranked a little bit higher, which I'm not going to say no to. But if they don't have any ideas and that's what they want to do, then I'm down for it.
Well, does that fight intrigue you in the sense that you both have really good ground games, right? I mean, that's sort of the interesting part, right?
Yeah. No, he's a newer guy. And like someone asked me too, was like, "Well, why would you want to fight someone lower in the rankings?" It's like, look, this is the UFC. Everybody's tough. Mm-hmm. And you don't necessarily need to fight ranked people to get ranked. It's more about your performance, right? Not that fighting ranked guys doesn't hurt. But that being said, again, he is a good grappler. Physically, he looks the part. And, if someone says my name and they want the smoke, I'm not going to turn that down. I'm not one away to shy away from a fight. And I don't, want people going around being like, oh, you're dodging people. That's just not me. So if you utter my name and I got nothing going on, we can get down.
Well, there's kind of an interesting connection here. Who does Andre Petroski train with?
Yeah, that's why he's. Yeah, that's why he's Paul Felder. A little background.
Oh no, I didn't even mean that. No, I meant he's trains with Sean Brady, who's fighting your buddy Bilal, right? So you guys could do like a tag team.
Exactly. So Paul's got Sean in October, but also we both know Paul and we both trained with Paul before, so there's another connection.
So you got to Paul, get out of here. We can't, we can't have any interference. So that's how it's got to be. If it's not Petroski, though, is there any other names that come to mind? Like any fun fights? I mean, you're not a guy to call people out, but you kind of looking at the division and going, that would be an interesting fight.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm really bad at paying attention to who's actually in my division because I'm like so focused on my friends and everybody else. Yeah. So I'm not sure who's even like in the lower top 15 that would even make sense for me to call out. So I wish I could be more exciting with that part of it, but I got nothing.
Well, it also doesn't help that you train with half them anyways, right? I mean, there's a couple middleweights, right? But I mean, they're all training with you right now. So
yeah, no, that's the other part too, is like, there's, 3 or 4 guys that are right in the mix there that, like, obviously I'm not going to fight them now unless we had to, and it was for a belt or something. So
yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Before we get out of here, what's the plan for the rest of the week? I know you're back on dad duty. You got anything fun planned or anything, or going to do anything else for what's left of summer?
Yeah, we might go up north for a little bit here if some stuff lines up and we can get out of the house, but otherwise just kind of sit back, relax, and try to enjoy the nice weather while it's here, and then see when the next fight is.
So the beard's staying, because I remember last time you got rid of the beard because you didn't want your son to not recognize you, right, or something?
Yeah, no, it seems that part doesn't matter, and like it's about to get cold here again, so I think I'm going to keep it for a while. Got
to protect that chin. There you go. Gerald, thanks so much for the time, man. Always a pleasure. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, I'll give you the last word.
Big shout out to Sucker Punch and Brian Butler for being in my corner and all those guys helping me out. That was awesome. Killcliff FC and all my training partners, appreciate you.